Good morning, my fellow scientists. It is Monday, May 1st, 2017. Happy May Day. For all the new viewers out there, my name is Peter Allen. I'm your host on this little program Monday through Friday where I talk about science that I find super interesting and occasionally present the results from my own lab here at the University of Idaho. Now, today I want to talk about batteries. I'm really interested in batteries in general because I feel like the future of energy is going to be in renewable and stored energy. The price of renewable energy is dropping amazingly quickly. It, at this point, is already the cheapest electricity money can buy when the sun is shining. There's a bit of a caveat there, right? When the sun is shining, solar electricity is cheaper than any other electricity, but when it's dark, you need to have stored electricity or you need to burn something to generate electricity. And if storage were cheaper than burned energy, then we would start storing solar energy for use at night. So if we wanted to move away from fossil fuels because they're dirty and expensive, and we wanted to move toward renewable energy because it's forever and cheap, we need to have a storage solution. And at this point, the best thing going is lithium-ion batteries. The trouble is that lithium-ion batteries are relatively expensive, and lithium is a relatively low abundance material here on Earth. Relatively speaking, of course, meaning that it's less abundant than, say, sodium or iron. One of the common questions then is, could we go from lithium-ion batteries to sodium-ion batteries? And I made a video talking about some of the reasons why that's not the best plan. The gist of it is sodium's heavy, and sodium doesn't give as much energy as lithium. So sodium-ion batteries are never going to be really very competitive with lithium-ion batteries, even if they're a lot cheaper to make the material. The material just isn't enough of a component of the cost to justify moving to sodium. That being said, that's sodium-ion batteries. What about sodium metal batteries? Now in this case, you get a huge advantage because instead of trying to make sodium go into some matrix like graphite where it is not happy and there is not a lot of room, you can pack a lot of sodium atoms into sodium metal. It's pure sodium, right? So that overcomes a lot of the problems associated with a sodium battery. In point of fact, a sodium metal battery would actually store more energy than a lithium-ion battery. And of course, the material would be that much cheaper. So at that point, it does become competitive if that technology were to happen. This year, a group out of Vanderbilt University built a sodium metal battery where they used sodium metal as the anode, where the sodium metal is going to oxidize and dissolve, and then iron pyrite, that is iron sulfide or fool's gold, as the cathode where the sodium metal goes when it's been expended. And that seems like a pretty remarkable achievement. I put a link in the description and you're welcome to go have a look at that. It may be behind a paywall for you all, but let's talk a little bit more about that chemistry. The paper in question was published in Nano Letters earlier this year. The paper is called Anode-Free Sodium Battery Through In Situ Plating of Sodium Metal out of Vanderbilt University, January of 2017. The paper talks about using sodium pre-coated on a pyrite cathode that is then plated over into a sodium metal plate on the other side of the battery while you're charging, and when you discharge, the sodium dissolves and redeposits itself on the pyrite cathode, and you get electricity out. The energy density is reported to be greater than the theoretical maximum for lithium-ion batteries, which is really amazing because none of these components are terribly expensive. And the only limitation that I foresee is the fact that that separator has to be really, really good in order to make this work. If, while you're depositing your sodium metal, the metal builds little wires, which it tends to do, I guess, then it can actually short itself out through that separator if the separator is not good. Now that brings us to a paper I covered earlier this year where a sodium glass separator was used to prevent that from happening. That came out of the Goodenough lab at the University of Texas. So maybe these things can be put together and a practical battery can be made. as usual, these have to be taken with a grain of salt because these are early results on a very small scale and they have not been proven commercially. But the fact that these kinds of batteries can work at least at a prototype stage and have such high energy density is really encouraging. So I hope you found that interesting. Please tune in tomorrow and the day after. Monday through Friday, we make new videos on science and chemistry and how to construct do-it-yourself batteries from easy-to-get materials here in the Allen Lab.